Hey folks, welcome to another video here on 67 Stang channel. So we're going to do something a little bit different today. You can't tell, we're at a slightly different location than normal. There is no stang. So with that, we'll go ahead and get things started. Hope you like it. Hi there folks, going on my third bike ride here on Jekyll. Trying to get it in before the rain comes. It's been a pretty wet weekend, but anyway, thought I'd share some of this with you as I go through my route. Nice thing about Jekyll here, a lot of good bike paths. All around, easy to get along. Of course, the island's flat, which makes it fun. Okay, get back at it. So here I am, continuing on. By the way, I didn't mention I'm going up towards the north side of the island, starting more at the central where our hotel was. Now coming up here, not too far, probably see the sign in the distance, to one of our favorite restaurants here on the island, the Bistro. And it's great. It's got a good selection of both locally caught seafood options as well as more traditional fare like Yankee pot roast, stuffed cabbage with pork. But one of our favorite things is the shrimp and grits. It is phenomenal, some of the best I've ever had. So good place to come on the island if you're interested. So also guys, I'm holding my phone while riding the bike with one hand down here, so there you go. Well, I guess the actual name, we just call it the Bistro, but it's the Driftwood Bistro is the official name of the restaurant, and it's part of the Villas by the Sea resort, but you don't have to be staying there to go to the restaurant. They're renovating parts of it. A lot of older hotels on the island here. You see a lot of it's undeveloped, which is really the nice part about the island, is it's still quite rustic. Whew, sorry, a little winded. Unlike St. Simon's and Sea Island out there. So a lot of folks rent those red bugs, golf carts, get around while they're down here. It can be fun. Oh, kind of trafficy day. Didn't think, I guess it's with the rain stopped, people are getting out. I don't know where that road goes to that everybody's turning down. Haven't been down that one. It's kind of gated, I don't know. Anyway, that's the main entrance where the Bistro is down there. Okay, I'm gonna get back to bike riding and try not to hit this person. Okay, so my first bike ride, first bike ride, I guess it was down here a few days ago, right up there about where you see that white beetle bug cart thing. Actually had an alligator crossing the road, so said there's a lot of wildlife here on Jekyll. This is also up where the entrance to back over there is Driftwood Beach, so we may go down there, take a look. It's also where they filmed some of the Walking Dead series here on Jekyll Island, for those interested in that. I'm not. My wife liked watching the zombie show. I did not. So we'll go down there. Okay, over here is where they did all of that filming for The Walking Dead. The path is very bumpy through here. We're coming up with sand. So I'm going to put y'all down so I can get through the sand. There you can see why it's called Driftwood Beach. This is an area where the high tide washes up into the marshy area over here. So again, just kind of a great show over there on the far. I'm not sure if you can see it. Is St. Simon's Island, much more built up than Jekyll here. For those that don't know, Jekyll is actually owned by the state of Georgia. It had one of the first integrated beaches, and by that I mean they allowed people of color on a beach at the south end of the island. So I guess it wasn't truly integrated, but the fact that they allowed people of color to come down into a state-owned facility was pretty groundbreaking at the time. So thankfully we moved past some of that a good bit, not entirely obviously, but and I'm walking now because this sand is hard to ride on, and I'm old, and well, not nearly as fat as I was. I'm still kind of out of shape, but this is just phenomenal to look at. I love riding back through this stuff. So peaceful. Well, a lot of bird noises, but not too bad. And very few people ride back in here, so it's usually pretty quiet. Okay, well, I'm gonna let y'all, I'm gonna get back at it, so I'm getting into some pavement again. I'm gonna ride through all that water. Okay, so we're coming to the end of that trail that runs us through by Driftwood Beach and through that marsh. And this is where it ends up. We're at the northern end of Jekyll Island, basically the most northern point. This is the end of Driftwood Beach. And then we come into the fishing pier. So this is the fishing pier here at the north end of the island here on Jekyll. So we'll be going over there. They have a little snack shop and gift shop there, as well as restrooms, picnic facilities, all that kind of good stuff. And then again, far away over there is St. Simon's Island. So we can see St. Simon's just to the north of us there, the fishing pier. And then there's the big marsh area we just rode around the eastern side of. Pretty cool. So I'm gonna keep on riding. We'll stop again like we've been doing, and if I find something interesting. Basically there's a road that runs into this park. You don't have to ride to the fishing pier, ride the bike trails. You can bring a vehicle up here as well. So okay, so here we're coming to the end of the road, coming from the fishing pier right across the street. That's the main road that we're about to come up to. It's one that goes around the island, and there's the campground. Okay, so this is the historic Horton home. This was where the first settler to Jekyll Island built his estate here. Pan around back over there, you can see the family cemetery. It was still there, and then back over in that direction is where I think it had a well house and a well set up, but it's right along the channel between the mainland and Jekyll Island. There's another plaque talking about the Dominion family, which kind of took over afterwards. So kind of a neat place, using tabby construction, so local materials to build the house. Pretty neat, I think. Kind of a fun story here. I used to do Civil War reenacting, and we actually did an encampment here because there was a Confederate infantry unit and artillery battery station here on the island. We'll talk more about later. But we were camped right over in there, and it happened to be, well, about this time of year with prom season going on, and some seniors from one of the local high schools came out here while we were camped. Thought they would come mess with the reenactors. They parked over there, started getting out of their cars, and one of our guys, while they weren't watching, loaded a blank into his musket and fired it into the air, scaring the living bejesus out of those teenagers, sent them running. They probably wet themselves. We got a good laugh out of it. We also were down here a few years before that doing a similar encampment and doing a battle demonstration for the public, and no one apparently told the state patrol, who polices the island that we were doing it. All they know is they apparently heard a bunch of gunshots going off, and they came screaming down the road from that direction, ordering us to put down our weapons and all that until they figured out what was going on, and ended up having a good laugh and whatnot. So some fun was had here before. Kind of again, a neat place. So I'm gonna go get back on the bike ride. By the way, for those that don't know, all that stuff hanging from the trees is called Spanish moss. Very prevalent here on the southeast coast part of the United States. It's kind of pretty, very indicative of the South, but don't go playing with it. It's full of bugs, red bugs, chiggers, whatever else you want to call it. You don't want to be playing with that, or you're going to end up very, very itchy. Trust me, I know. I found out as a kid the hard way. Now, an interesting fact is that during the Civil War, the Confederates actually found a way to weave that stuff into horse blankets. So there were actually horse blankets. So this bench coming up here is one of my favorite resting points. I'm not going to stop today, but you can see the big old live oak branches there, overarching, very pretty, quiet place to rest. I just thought I'd let you see some more of the wonderful back part here of the island along these trails and why it's so nice. I'm going to back up to the road now. We're actually heading towards the airport. There is a small airport here on Jekyll Island. Very small single engine, twin engine, private planes, no commercial service. That is into Brunswick, which is the nearest city, if you want to get here commercially. But anyway, I'm going to go back to riding and put this down. Okay, so we're coming up to our next stop. We're actually here running along the runways at the airport I was mentioning earlier. We're going to come up to an interesting historic site that you've actually seen just my quick panning there. You didn't know you saw it. But we'll stop up here at this marker right here and talk a little bit. Okay, let's get the bike situated so it's not going to fall down, but it's not in people's way. There we go. Okay, so here you can see this marker. So there was, at the start of the Civil War, a Confederate battery stationed here on the island. So for those that don't realize, the American Civil War was the north half of the country versus the south half of the country. It happened from 1861 to 1865. I'm not going to get into all of the causes and all of that because it can still be very controversial here. But over there, just across the runway, in that clump of trees, you know, get where you might get a better view of it. It's hard to see. Let's go on down a little bit further. Anyway, over there in that trees, the Confederates built a small earthen fort. So they basically piled up dirt to create walls and bastions and dug bunkers and all of that, and put cannons in there to protect the approaches to the port of Brunswick, which is still a vibrant port here for Georgia. Okay, now we're gonna flip. Okay, so the Confederacy attempted at the start of the war to protect pretty much every port city that it had. recognizing the importance of ports because it had very little manufacturing capability, so wanted to allow as many goods to come in from countries like Great Britain and France and so on, as well as from other countries in South America and whatnot. So they tried to protect all of them. What they quickly realized was they didn't have the resources. So it wasn't long after the start of the war that they pulled all the guns out of there, as well as some of the railroad steel that had been used to help construct the fortifications, and move all of that up north of here to the port of Savannah, Georgia, which was the original capital of the state of Georgia before it was moved to Milledgeville, which was more centrally located at the time. So there was a Confederate presence on here. It was never engaged. After the Confederates pulled out, Union forces came in, occupied the island briefly, realized there wasn't a lot of strategic value in the island itself, I think, and pulled out as well. So maybe left a few troops here, but not a whole lot. So yeah, Jekyll Island has some Civil War history, although most of its history started in the colonial time frame. We saw the Horton home over there, and then as we'll see in our next stop, more to the south side of the island, it picks up during the, well, was it World War I, later time frame, with more history, some pretty neat stuff too that we'll see when we get up into the historic district. So that'll be our next stop as I get back on the bike and head that way. Anyway, as I was saying, I think that's the indoor swimming pool back there. Anyway, these were all in very bad repair. The state has set up a historic society, as well as getting grant funding to put these things back in shape. Pretty impressive efforts from what I remember them being when I was a youngster. So we'll stop and take a couple of looks at others as we go through. Okay, so we're now at the Crane Cottage, built in 1917. This one's a pretty nice one. You can actually rent this out for events. I actually attended a wedding here a few years ago that was very, very nice. It has rooms. I believe you can actually stay here as well. So very pretty place and whatnot. Anyway, wanted to share that. Great views of the channel in the marsh here. You can probably see the parts of the pier. So that was the main pier that actually was used by the millionaires when they were occupying the island, and that they were here running the club up through the end of World War II. After World War II ended, people pretty much quit coming here, and then that's when the state took ownership of it in the early 50s, I think. But pretty cool. So this is the Jekyll Island Clubhouse. This is where all the families that were staying would gather for group events. Folks that didn't have cottages that were members of the club could stay there as well. Now, when I first started coming down here, again, when I was a rugrat, all of that woodwork that you see, the porches there, those bay windows there that are all wood and glass, they had rotted away. They didn't exist, including there on the top floor, was at the 4th floor. So those doors that went out to nothing, that whole breezeway in the middle there didn't exist. The pylons did, but none of the rest of it. It was very bad shape. You can see how they've replaced it. A lot of the glass was broken in and whatnot. So again, it's just phenomenal, the work that's been done. You can stay in it now. It's a hotel there. They have all those rooms there, plus this one up here that we're going to go up to. If I can pedal, pardon me. I can do this without killing myself. The San Sui. This, I believe, was like bachelor quarters. So, let's see. Anyway, there's the plaque. But this was the overflow, I guess. Again, I think mostly bachelors. But more stay, and you can stay in that too. They're doing some renovations. You can see stuff out on the porch where they're replacing bedding and furniture there. But again, all this woodwork was gone. A good bit of it rotted away. So come a long way. So now we're going to head up into the shops area and get my treat. So here we have the Dubinion cottage. So this is actually the family that owned the island before the millionaires came in, and part of the deal when they acquired to set up their club was that the Dubinion family would have membership in the club. So they moved the Dubinion house, I believe they moved anyway, here to be within the club grounds there. So it's one of the oldest houses. It's still intact here. You may also find a famous cat around here called Marty Jekyll. Marty's a very cute little cat that lives around here. He has his own Facebook page and whatnot. But if you head up in here, there's a series of shops. These buildings, these structures, were originally used to house the staff that served the millionaires here on the island, or were, like that one, a work building that had boilers and things in it. I'm not sure if that was the powerhouse or whatnot. There's also indoor tennis courts that were original here to the island and whatnot. So up in here at the commissary, I always stop and get a treat. I get me a bottled Coke. There's nothing better than a good old bottled Coke, glass bottle that is. So I'm gonna go up there and get one. So here's a few more of the cottages as we head towards the south end of the historic district. After I've had my wonderful Coke. Now they do offer a full historic tour of these cottages. They give you the full history and rundown on it. If you're a history guy like me, I encourage you to do it. There we go. There's the marsh again and the channel. There, so we're going to go the south side of the island, at least a little bit. Now the south side is a lot less developed than the north side that we've been riding around. We'll see. I don't know if you can see it through there. The bridge, the old bridge, which has been replaced by the new bridge. The old bridge used to be a drawbridge. Now people fish from it and whatnot. There you go. You can kind of see that. And the new bridge. We've had a lot of rain here. We had a lot more puddles. We go through, and now we're exiting the historic district and just getting back onto the bike paths over on the channel here. Now to get on the island, back up, heading, well, I guess you'd be heading east, but back west from where we are now, there is a toll to get on the island. It's $8 to get on, and if you leave and have to come back, it's another $8. Well, you get a 24-hour window, I should say. So if you come back later, look like they're put into a bench. That's the nice thing about these trails. I get sidetracked. There's benches and places to stop and rest and enjoy things a good bit. I think over here was where one of the original piers was. Okay. Now I'm going to put you down to go across this bridge, so I want to do that. Okay, across the bridge, heading back. Sorry. It takes both hands to go across that bridge. But anyway, as I was saying, it's $8 to get on the island. If you don't ever leave, that's it. If you do leave, said you get 24 hours to come and go. You can buy multi-day passes if you want. Showing you some of the marsh area. Sorry, it is quite windy, so I'm sure I've got a lot of wind noise coming throughout this recording. Now we're heading back up to the main road that leads into the island up here. So there's one big road that loops around the island, one main road coming in, so there's only one way on and off by vehicle. I suppose you could take a boat But so what we're going to do now, I'm going to keep going and head across the main road and get onto the back into the wild side of the island. Like I said, the southern part is less developed, and pick it up from there. Okay, so couldn't get into the back trail that takes you through kind of the middle of the island. It was closed. My guess is due to flooding with all the rain we've had down here. So, but this is the main trail that parallels the loop road around the island. But you can see we're heading on the north side how little development there is here. So they have a rule or a law that I can't remember if it's 70-30 or 60-40, but only you might be able to get down one of those side trails anyway. That only a small percentage, well, relatively, can be developed on the island. The rest has to remain natural, which is really nice here. So I think we're coming up to the soccer complex they have, and then our next stop will be another historic location that we'll talk about when we get there. Okay, this location here is now the 4-H club camp here on Jekyll. Just saw a bunch of students from UGA, University of Georgia, offloading and going down the path. But what was here originally was the Colored Hotel. That's what it was called. Don't blast me in the comments for using bad language, but that's what it was. This was where the folks of color could come and enjoy the beach. Here is the plaque that describes all that, so I'll capture it so you can read through it there. Like I said, it was one of the first state parks that allowed folks of color to come down and participate in it. So kind of unique from that perspective in there. But now it does things for 4-H with the University of Georgia and high schools throughout the state of Georgia on agriculture and wildlife and things like that. So anyway, I'm going to try to get us back on the inside part of the island so you can see more of the wild parts of it. So that's where we'll try to go next. Okay, I found a path. It is a bit rough. I don't think this is one of the primary paths they regularly maintained. We'll give it a try. Go that way, go that way. We'll go this way. Ooh. Okay, there's evidence where something was lying down back in there. I'm gonna turn and go the other way. See how this goes, but I can't do this one-handed, so I'm gonna let you go. Okay, I definitely need some sort of like head-mounted GoPro for this kind of stuff. This is not what I normally film, but we're making it. Continuing on, it is a bit rough because this is not what I'm used to doing, but it's kind of fun. Okay, this is going to be fun. Ooh, up. Oh. Here we go. Steady, steady. Yeah, this is challenging. This is definitely more of a footpath than a bike path. Oh, down we go. Ooh, getting attacked. Oh, there goes a lizard. I don't know if we caught him. What have I gotten myself into? Needless to say, I am walking and not riding at this point. But gosh, look at back in here. Just back through things like that. Isn't this amazing? I have to say, I've never been back in this part, never been down this trail before. So anyway, let's keep on going. This looks like a slide from something. And there are alligators back in here somewhere. Okay, this looks like it is maintained. There's steps here. Ooh. Okay, y'all don't need to see me fight this. I'll get back to you later. I have no idea where I'm at, other than, well, Jekyll Island. Some trail I found, because the main bike path was closed to the south end of the island. So, yeah. If you don't hear from me, I'm somewhere lost on the south end of Jekyll Island. Okay, so after getting lost in the woods, I found my way out and found a beach access. There's very limited access to the beach here at Jekyll because they want to protect the dunes, which are very key to the overall ecosystem on the island and keeping it from eroding. So they limit access, but here it is on the south end. I think that's Sapelo Island over there, or Cumberland, I can't remember which one. Part of the barrier islands. Here we go. This, if you ever want to come down the south end of the island, and again, pardon all the wind noise, but you're at the beach, is very quiet compared to the north end up there where we were riding to start with. Also, usually better shells if you're interested in seashells there, but you can see nobody here. There's the access. We just came down. No one down that way. We do have one family over there, but as an old sailor, seeing the ocean is a wonderful thing. It's like a part of me. Anyway. That's actually our hotel I'm staying at right there. So we're almost done. Okay, we've made it back. Whew. Tired. I don't know how many miles that was, but it was several. And hope you've enjoyed it. We're going to call it quits here. I know it's not my normal content, but I really love Jekyll Island. Remember coming down here with my mom and dad, the original owners of the 67 Stang, and a lot of good memories here on this island. So hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. You know, leave some comments below. I really encourage you to come down here to Jekyll if you've never been here. It's really a glorious place. So thanks.